Grace and peace, you guys. Welcome back to Unshakable with April Chapman, where we discuss all things social, cultural, political, and theological from a biblical perspective. I'm your host, April Chapman, and today, you guys, I am so pleased. We are going to be welcoming back Everett Jackson. He is back on the channel. And if you don't remember, last time Everett joined us, he was campaigning for the Republican nomination for Texas's 30th congressional district. Well, since then, we do have good news. The voters have spoken, and Everett defeated his Republican opponent, Sheldon Daniels, in the Republican primary runoff. And now it is official, y'all. Everett is officially the GOP nominee for TX30. But the fight is not over. His next challenge is the general election, and he's going to be facing the Democratic nominee, Frederick Haynes III. Now, if you are accustomed to watching content on this channel, you know that Freddie Haynes is the longtime pastor and friend and loyal political supporter and handpicked successor of Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett. So today, we're going to discuss Everett's primary victory. I want to learn a little bit about that race. I want to talk about his strategy for competing in a district where Democrats have controlled for decades. They've had a stronghold in this district. And I also want to talk about the stark ideological differences between him and Freddie Haynes and why he believes that voters in TX30 should finally consider a different direction. So please welcome to the show, Everett Jackson. Congrats, friend, on your victory. How are you today?
Thank you. I'm great. How about yourself?
I am doing amazing. I'm so glad you decided. We finally managed to get our schedules to align. And the last time that you joined us here on the show, you were fighting to become the Republican nominee. But the good news is you did defeat your opponent. And I want to know
Indeed.
from you, what do you believe Republican voters saw in you that ultimately separated you from the rest of the field?
Well, when it comes down to the primaries, and I give all praise to God for blessing me to win the primaries in the runoff. When it came down to the opponents, the people of CD 30, of Congressional District 30, they wanted a conservative representative that was going to stand to the core of what conservatism is. Someone that wanted to promote the nuclear family and someone who was genuine. And my heart is placed on display when I talk to the people of TX30. And that resonated with them. They saw that everything that I said and everything that I did was genuine and from the heart. There was no showcasing or no showboating. And I gave them exactly who I was, and that was Everett Jackson. So they loved the genuineness of me and they loved my policy. Therefore, they made the decision, the people spoke, and here I am as the Republican nominee for Congressional District 30. All glory be to God.
I love to hear it. I love when you talk about faith and family, and I appreciate how you led with that. What's interesting, though, about TX30, though, it has been for a very long time, it's been treated as this safely Democratic seat for decades. If I'm not mistaken, Kamala Harris, she carried that newly configured district by roughly 73% in 2024. So my question is,
Yes.
what do you know about TX30 that the political establishment and election forecasters what are they missing that you know that gives you the confidence that you can pull off a win in this district?
That is an awesome question, April. Look at you. You come with the great questions. Okay, so what do I know that they don't know? It is a
Yes.
lot. That's the benefit of being an organic candidate in this district, being born and raised and living in this district. What they don't know is that the reason that this has been a stronghold for the liberals to the left, TX30 I'm speaking of, is because there haven't been viable options to oppose the left in TX30. Now that they have one of their own, their son, their prodigal son, returning home to represent them, they open their arms, they see Everett Jackson, and they say, he's one of us. And it's showing that in my campaign right now. Everywhere that I go, though I'm Republican and conservative and TX30 is historically Democrat, They look at Everett Jackson and they say, Everett, I have never voted for a Republican a day in my life. But this November, I'm changing that. You are getting my vote. And I am getting this at an overwhelming rate. So I believe me knowing the landscape of TX30, being here all of my life, and I broke my teeth here. My first love was here. My family is here. My business is here. So the people know that I am of them. And nothing is better than home cooked meals. And that's what I am for the people of TX30. I am a home cooked meal. They love Everett Jackson. And for the first time, and many of them live, they will be voting Republican this November. So it's just a matter of me being organic, knowing what the people of TX30 needs, and I'm going to address those needs. And they trust me at TX30 from my previous years of service. For over 20 years, I have served TX30, not in a political capacity, but in a community activist capacity. I've fed my community. I've clothed my community. On the holidays, out of my own pocket, I do toy giveaways and bike giveaways for the children. So for over 20 years, I've done this in TX30. And this is why I'm in a position now to run for Congress, because of my past works, my past actions, and the people know that Everett Jackson, he is for us. The great Marcus Aurelius said, the only truth is action. The only truth is action. So my actions have proven true to the people of TX30, and because of that, they have chosen me, and they will choose me in November. So I say to those who are on the right, my conservative colleagues, I say to them to look again at TX30, because there's something great on the horizon, and that is Everett Jackson for U.S. Congress.
I love how you refer to yourself as this prodigal son, and you talked about the level of familiarity that this district probably already has with you because you've already been in the community and you're from the community. However, we do need to highlight the fact that Freddie Haynes, your opponent, he's not hiding his relationship with Jasmine Crockett. He too has roots in this community. He's Jasmine's pastor, a friend. He's also a strong political supporter of her and her policies. He's the official endorsed successor. And typically when you see that, there's this assumption that, oh, he's going to be a shoe-in. Well, the difference is TX30 is now, they're being offered some new representation, at least I believe. Or do you believe that Jasmine Crockett and those who were supporting her, they've attempted to install this handpicked political heir? Do you believe that the constituents of TX30 are ready for something different? Or are they going to resort to what they are used to and accustomed to, despite the fact that you already have roots and ties to this community for well over 20 years?
Indeed. Now, I believe that they will opt in November for something different. Of course, we're going to have those loyalists that's going to stick to the Jasmine Crockett camp and whoever she brings before us. Jasmine Crockett could have brought a frog with a top hat on and they will vote for it because they are loyalists to Jasmine Crockett. But I believe that the vast majority, they are looking for a change. And you can ask Everett, why do you believe that? Because this is what I'm being told. Every time that I go out and I speak and I do campaign work, I do the door knocking, I do the block walking, I do the events, I do the town halls and meet and greets. This is what I am getting. Everett, it is time for something different. We are not growing, but just the opposite. We're going backwards. And TX30 is going backwards. Our crime rate is surging, our poverty rate is surging, all of this up under the leadership of Jasmine Crockett and her cronies. So Frederick Haynes being picked by Jasmine Crockett, let there be no mistake about it. He's nothing more than a placeholder. He's a placeholder for Jasmine Crockett. And if people have a problem with Jasmine Crockett, you're going to have a crisis with Frederick Haynes because he is the platform and launching pad from which she comes. So if you want more divisiveness, if you want more melanin idolatry, because that's what it is, melanin idolatry. If you want that over God, I say to you, vote for my opponent, Frederick Haynes. But if you want a man that is going to keep biblical principles first and stand on his moral grounds and make your merits be the standard by which you are judged, Everett Jackson is that candidate. So yes, indeed, the people are ready for a change in TX30. And I know so because they've told me so. And for those loyalists, loyalists that's going to stay true to Jasmine Crockett and whoever she wants to succeed her, they will see the victory and they will too get on board after they see the success that conservative values are going to bring to our district.
It's interesting that you highlighted the crime and the poverty rate that has increased under Jasmine Crockett's congressional oversight. Like you, I also believe that if people were to choose her successor, Freddie Haynes, that you're going to see more of the same. I guess my question is, what makes you different from the status quo? Because usually you listen to Democrats talk about crime and poverty, but their solutions for crime and poverty never seem to match any outcomes that would improve the situation. So, for example, I distinctly remember hearing Freddie Haynes talk about his social justice advocacy. He's pursued that from the pulpit. How do you believe what he believes social justice is going to be more harmful and give you more of the high crime and more of the poverty rates, probably worse than what Jasmine Crockett was managing to oversee? Like what are you? I guess the question is, what are you bringing that's different, and why do you believe that installing him would just exasperate that and make those outcomes worse? Like what are they proposing as a solution, and what do you propose as the opposite?
Let there be no mistake about it. When my opponent speaks of social justice advocacy, he's speaking of lack of accountability advocacy. And that's the difference between him and I. When
Can
you
you flesh
listen
that
to
out
my,
for us?
I will, I will. I'm going to, I'm gonna peel this onion for you, so to say.
Yes.
So when I say lack of accountability advocacy, Frederick Haynes would want you to believe that because you are black, that's why you are experiencing low incomes, unemployment, underemployment, criminal records, and so forth. He wants you to believe in a white boogeyman. He don't want you to believe that it's your choices that got you in the situation that you're in. He don't want you to believe that or know that it's your victimhood mentality that's keeping you unemployed and underemployed. He don't want you to know that the reason you're not living the life you want is because you are not choosing to live the life you want. Me, I bring a completely different outlook. I bring back the merit of self accountability. No one can stop you from being whatever you want. There's only one enemy, one opponent that you have to conquer to be whatever you want, and that is you. You are your worst enemy. You are your hardest opponent. So once you learn to self conquer, the world is your oyster. And that is something that me and Frederick Haynes, we stand completely on opposite ends on. He wants you to point the finger. I want you to look within. Two different outlooks. So when you talk about social justice advocacy, we have to understand that this social justice that they're speaking of is not truly social justice. It is lack of accountability advocacy. And with Everett Jackson, you are not going to get that. You are going to get self accountability. The black community, if we were a nation, we would be the ninth richest nation on the planet. Let me repeat that for the ladies and gentlemen that heard me. If the black nation, African Americans in America, were a nation of themselves, we would be the ninth richest nation on the planet. Ladies and gentlemen, with that type of economical power, there is no excuse for us to be living the way that we are living. There is no excuse for us to have the excuses that we have for what is going on in our communities. In our communities, we have drugs that are running rampant. We have black on black crime that is running rampant. A lot of people say black on black crime isn't real, and my opponent is one of those. Sir, black on black crime is very real. When a black person harms a black person, that is black on black crime. Just like you have white on white crime and brown on brown crime. But we by far, lead in statistics as far as who does the most harm to their community. We must stop this, and we must stop giving pacifications and making excuses for those of us who are doing this. So, primarily, the difference between my opponent and myself It's one give excuses and lack of accountability, but me, myself, I don't point without, I point within. And my policies will reflect that.
I like how you talked about he's pushing a lack of accountability justice. Accountability is one of those things that it applies to all groups without distinction. So it's not just a black thing or a white
That's
thing.
right.
And when I heard you say that, I said, wow, this sounds like a candidate that believes that he will be representing all of TX30 and not just the black aspect of TX30. We've seen Freddie Haynes use his national platform for progressive activism, and he
Mm-hmm.
speaks in these terms. It's very isolationist. He doesn't seem to include all of America in his rhetoric. But I did notice that Freddie Haynes has called for the dismantling of ICE, which is interesting because he's he's a very pro-black advocate, but he's also a pro-illegal advocate. I have this clip that I'd like for us to go ahead and analyze together, and I want you to give your reaction to it. Just give me 1 second. We'll get it pulled up here.
Because there is a political environment that has made othering okay. A political environment that has weaponized hatred. And as a consequence, we have a terrorist group of ICE agents who are moving throughout this nation and engaging in waging war on communities, especially communities of color. I'm here to fight against that. I'm here to stand against that. 9 persons have been killed since September by ICE agents. That's not accidental. That's a trend. That's a pattern that has been set up by the environment created by a rogue White House with a Congress that won't hold that White House accountable. But I'm here to hold that.
You know, I know that was hard for you to listen to, Everett. It's interesting to hear a congressional candidate refer to an aspect of our Border Patrol and national security as a terrorist group. He labeled ICE agents a terrorist group and said that it's a trend. 9 people since September have been killed. He's calling that a trend. What are your thoughts when you hear him say that?
What the dear pastor fails to tell the people is that those people who were killed or lost their lives, is that those people were interfering and putting the lives of the ICE agents in danger. These men and women that are protecting our country of who operate within the guidelines of ICE, they have a very hard job. They have a job of making sure that illicit drugs and weapons do not come into our country. They have a job of making sure that foreigners who are here to do us harm does not do us harm. But you have those activists, such as himself, social activists, that are impeding upon them doing their lawful duties. And those people who lost their lives, they place ICE officers' lives in danger. So it was a matter of self-defense. And I commend the men and women of ICE for going out and putting their lives on the line every day to protect you and I, April. If it wasn't for the men and women of ICE, our country would be overran with illegal immigrants. There would be no safe place for us to go. So for him to ask for the abolishment of ICE is for him to ask to leave our company wide open to foreign threats. And as Americans, we are supposed to protect our families and our nation from threats, foreign and domestic. And with that type of rhetoric, he is a domestic terrorist. He is asking for harm to come upon the American citizen and the American population. So when I hear these things, when I hear my opponent speak of this way to a public venue, one thing's come to mind, that he is pandering and grifting to please his liberal masters. He is pandering and grifting to please his liberal masters. So do not believe the hype that you hear coming from Frederick Haynes' mouth. He don't even believe it. The man is so pro-black that he's anti-God.
Sir, that line right there will preach. Okay. He's so pro-black that he is anti-God. I'm glad that you ended on that statement. you may have heard me talk extensively about the anti-God, anti-Christian worldview of the current Democrat Party. I struggle to understand how a black pastor can preach the things that he preaches, which are, I mean, they are anti-God, anti-Christian ideologies. You called him a domestic terrorist for the simple fact that he would prefer, because of his handlers, to leave our country vulnerable to all of this illegal immigration, and he hides it under this guise of compassion. Like, well, we're having compassion for the sojourner. And I also think it's interesting that his predecessor, Jasmine Crockett, has a very difficult time showing any empathy or compassion to all of the angel moms, the parents who've lost their children at the hands of these illegal immigrants who've violently engaged in criminal behavior. So I'm glad that you weighed in on that, to talk about the fact that ICE exists, and it's existing in this current climate because of the previous administration's open border policy. And I do
Amen.
believe that he doesn't really believe this, but you have to follow the money. All of the George Soros money that wants this open door society are funding the Jasmine Crockett's, they're
That's
funding the
right.
Tallaricos, and they're also
That's right.
funding Freddie Haynes. One
That's
more
right.
policy component that I wanted to talk about is this phrase that he uses called economic justice. What policies, in your opinion, are actually hiding beneath such rhetoric, and how do you believe his economic justice policies are going to affect small businesses in South Dallas? I know you're a small business owner. What does he mean? What is economic justice? What is that code for?
That is code for give me what I have not earned.
Free stuff. Okay.
That is code for reparations. Give me, pay me for things that I did not endure. That's what my
Mm,
opponent means by economic justice. See, my opponent has a very bad tendency, and that tendency is make the white man the fault and reason for everything that's bad in your life. Everything. If your marriage goes bad, it is because the white man has made the black community so bad to where you can't understand a woman. So therefore you getting a divorce because of the white man. This is my opponent.
it sounds like
He
something he's
has a
probably preached.
yes. This is my opponent. His tendency is to make everything that is incorrect in your life be the white man's fault. You have
Mm,
nothing to do with it. Nothing. So when he speaks of economic justice, that is code for give me what I have not earned. Give me. Which, by the way, LBJ did such of a thing. And look at our black community now. When LBJ did the Great Society Act, which is also code within economic justice, which the good pastor is hiding under, it destroyed the black community. Before the
mhm.
Great Society Act, we had our own hospitals, we had our own schools, we had our own transportation. We had 80% of black homes had the black man and woman there with their children. When
Right.
LBJ came with the Great Society Act, economic justice, which was you get the man out of the house, we'll take care of you. We'll pay your rent. We'll give you food. You will never have to worry about these things again. Just get the man out of your house. You see what that did for us, right? So
Right.
what my opponent is asking for, economic justice, asking for to be given what you have not earned, is going to lead us further down that rabbit hole. Again, lack of accountability. Lack of accountability. Why do we need economic justice when black women lead all demographics of higher learning in the United States of America? Let me repeat that. Black women are the leading demographic of all higher learning educations, from bachelor's, master's to doctorates. Of all demographics, black women lead at percentage wise. So, with that being said, where is the lack of economic justice? Where is the lack of economic justice? No, it's not a matter of economic injustice, it's a matter of your decisions. I always say to people, April, your choices will define who you are. You are born looking like your mother and father, but you will die looking like your choices. So,
Mm,
Economic justice, another way of saying, give me reparations, give me what I have not earned.
Yeah, it sounds like the theology of give us free, right? Make us
Give us free.
dependent. Yes, give us free,
Give
make
us
us
free, right?
dependent. I always say that they cloak all of this, we'll call it philanthropy or humanitarian aid behind it's really a cycle of dependency, because as long as the government is your provider, you'll never have to depend on God for anything. So that's the anti-God
Amen.
component of it. And
Amen.
as long as the government is your provider, that is the one who controls which direction you go in. They'll end up controlling everything, and ultimately that is who will dominate and have lordship over your life. They want to keep you dependent so that way they can control you. Um, and I appreciate so many of the sentiments that you've highlighted in this interview. You talked a lot about the lack of accountability justice of what he is pushing. And like I always say, it's the chronic victim can never
Chronic.
be trusted. And it seems as if Freddie Haynes is trying to disciple the next generation of chronic victims. And I just do not see so many amazing Black people in the Black community. They no longer want to subscribe to that. So as we wrap this up, what do you foresee being the most challenging hurdle that you'll have to cross over as you enter into this general election for the midterms? I'm sure Freddie Haynes is outspending you. What is your
Indeed.
biggest challenge at this point, in addition to the financial hurdle that you're encountering?
The greatest obstacle that I have is the greatest obstacle I had from the onset of my campaign, and that is waking up the Black community to the lies and
Mm,
falsehood of my opponent.
right.
This has always been the greatest opponent. But my political opponent, Frederick Haynes, this didn't begin with him. This has been 60 years of indoctrination to the Black community that I am fighting against. So I have to fight against 60 years, 3 generations of indoctrination of democratic, anti God belief systems. And I am taking it head on. And how do I take it head on? This past Saturday, I had an event. Someone asked me, Everett, you are the better candidate. How are you going to beat the propaganda of the Democratic Party? I
Right.
said, me being the better candidate, there's only one thing that can defeat propaganda, and that is the evident truth.
Mm,
You have to put before them the evident truth. And when you place that before them, they did have a decision to make. I can believe the truth that I'm hearing, or I can be comfortable with the lie I'm living.
mm,
So, but I make it very uncomfortable, April. I make it very uncomfortable for them to live with the lie that they're believing and living. So, that obstacle of undoing 60 years, 3 generations of democratic lies to the Black community is my greatest obstacle, besides the finances. But I'm a strong believer, as you know, April, we are people of faith, and we know that everything works to the God, good to the good. God tells us everything works to the good. So I believe that come this November, those people who are God fearing, those people who do take accountability, those people who do not buy the pandering and charlatan of Frederick Haynes, they're going to choose a man that's going to stand on values and morals that are of biblical standards, and that is Everett Jackson. But I need the people out there in Watchland to know that I need your help. April is a great host, and she do her job by getting the information out there to the people. And April, you have done a wonderful job. I can't go a day without looking at your videos, by the way, and that says a lot. I am very busy on the campaign
right.
trail, very busy. And for me to take time to watch your videos tells me that this woman is of substance and of high value. And your content is of high substance and high value. And I value you, April. If nobody else gave you your flowers today, Everett Jackson is giving you your flowers today. But the people out there that is watching this show, I do need your help. Frederick Haynes is outspending me approximately 8-1 right now. So your funds and donations can propel me into this victory. And to do such, you can go to jacksonfortexas.com. just like it sounds. JacksonforTexas.com.
I listened to you articulate masterfully so much what I tried to convey to my audience when you talked about 3 generations of Democrat indoctrination. That is an uphill battle. I've heard it say that truth is like a disinfectant, and it shines the light in the dark places, and it's very illuminating. And it's difficult sometimes for a lot of people to embrace the truth, but I would encourage residents of TX30 to look at the outcomes. If for the past 60 years and all of these generations, you've had these Democrat strongholds in power and things have gotten progressively worse and you've become progressively more dependent, it is obvious that there is a direct correlation between your voting habits and the community outcomes that you are examining. At the end of the day, TX30 has a decision to make. They can choose to be politically disengaged. They can choose to be put off by the fact that you are running as a Republican. Or they can say, you know what, I'm going to look at the policies and the platform and the ideological framework from whence Everett Jackson is coming, and it is vastly different from the dependency and the fear mongering that Freddie
That's right.
Haynes is offering. And so I would just encourage those in TX30 who watch this show and those who watch this show who may have friends in TX30, I would encourage you guys to talk to your neighbors and ask them, it's not what has the Democrat Party done for you. That's the wrong question. The question is, what have they done literally to continue to destroy you and to make things work worse? And what artificial weights have they put in your way that keeps
That's
you
right.
from functioning in your freedom? Why are you more dependent than you were before the civil rights operation of the 1960s?
That's
So
right.
as we wrap up, Everett, I want you to look directly into this camera and take about a minute or less if possible. I want you to speak to the Democrat or the independent or that urban conservative that is not feeling very hopeful about the future of TX30. They've never voted for a Republican before. What should that voter, why should that voter break with all of the decades of political habit and entrust you with this seat? Go ahead.
Definitely. I'll say to the ladies and gentlemen of Congressional District 30, I am a difference maker. I am here to change the long standing and long suffering of our leftist representation. For many years, over 6 decades, we have seen nothing but degradation of our neighborhoods and our communities. We have not seen ourselves rise to that promise that we have dreamed about all our lives. If the Constitution has offered us the pursuit of happiness, are you really happy in your community? Are we really happy? Are we really thriving up under the present leadership? Or will you allow me having an R next to my name to keep you from being happy? Though you may have never voted for a Republican in your life, I ask of you to look outside of party lines and look at the policy. I have presented policies to TX30 that will enrich it and make it greater than it has ever been. Those who have come before me in TX30, which is 33 years old, by the way, it was carved out for Eddie Bernice Johnson. She was a class act, but however, her policies did not reflect who she was. So I ask of all of you in TX30, give yourselves a chance. Give your families a chance at happiness. I come to you and I will judge you only by your merits, not by your skin. As a congressman, I have to serve everyone, not just one community. I do not believe anyone in our community has the gall or has the right to call one people worse than the other or one person better than the other. We are one people, we are Americans, and we should fight together, not against one another. So I ask of all of you in TX30, give Everett Jackson a chance. Go look at the policies, and I can promise you that you would choose me only if you're a rational, sane, God loving person. And I need you also to keep in mind throughout this whole campaign, between myself and my opponent, I am the only one that has openly talked about policy. I did not give feel good sermons. I do not say things in rhythm just to make you holler, shout, and scream and clap your hands. Everything that I has given you have been given you to think about and to show you how I'm going to make your communities and families better. So consider Everett Jackson if you haven't. I promise you, it can be the best vote you make in all of these midterms. I love you. God bless you. And God bless you, United States of America. Thank you, April.
Everett, that was amazing. Just to sum it up, Everett is offering substance over symbolism, and it'll be up to you, the voters, to decide. Thank you so much for joining me on today's show, Everett. And until next time, you guys, stand firm, stay bold, and above all else, stay unshakable. Grace and peace.